I used to think that I wasn't good enough in training, at work, even just in life. But something changed, and I think it started at the gym.
Hey, it's Patrick here, your CrossFit guy who is trying to train CrossFit and be better self than tomorrow, especially when life gets really hard. CrossFit for me wasn't only about the workouts. What surprised me most is how the workouts has changed the way I deal with real life, work, stress, doubts. This video isn't about the reps and routines. It's about how I finally started trusting myself outside of the gym too. I've never saw myself as a sporty type of guy. My goal was simple. Move a bit, clear my head after work, have a decent time, and hopefully feel better physically. Nothing deep, just get my body working again. But after a while, something started to feel different. One day you're squatting, the other day you're swinging from a bar or crawling across the floor, and somehow, even when it's brutal, you still show up. That's what hit me. I kept coming back, not because I had to, not because someone expected me to, but because I wanted to. I started to like how I felt after each workout. I assumed I'd quit after a few weeks, but I kept showing up. And over time, I started to notice things. People weren't just strong, they were consistent. They didn't judge you for failing. They just kept working, and somehow I wanted to keep working too. During tough workouts, when everything inside me wanted to quit, when that voice said, "You're tired, you don't need to prove anything," I'd look around and see someone right next to me still doing burpees, fighting their own battle. The clock was ticking, and honestly, there was no time to compare with others. Even though at first I felt like people were watching me out of the corner of their eye, checking if I was still jumping on the damn box. But that moment, it gave me power. If they can do it, why not me? It didn't feel like a competition. It felt like being part of something, even if we didn't say a word to each other. Their progress didn't intimidate me. It motivated me, because they didn't keep it to themselves. They made space for me to be part of it. In a place where failure was normal, where no one cared if you scaled the workout, trying didn't feel dangerous anymore. It felt normal, expected, and eventually I stopped being afraid of trying. And what surprised me most was that the biggest changes didn't happen during the workouts. They happened outside of the gym. At work, I started noticing things. Situations that used to stress me out. Meetings, deadlines, difficult conversations. They still made me nervous, but I didn't freeze anymore. The biggest difference? I stopped making everything sound so dramatic in my head. Before, I'd replay every conversation over and over again in my head. I'd overthink what I said, how I said, whether I should stay quiet instead. I still care, but I don't break myself over it. I say what I mean, and I move on. CrossFit taught me to keep showing up, even on the bad days. And that mindset started showing for me not only during the workouts. There were moments I truly surprised myself. Meetings that went better than expected. Times I started calm when things got tense. Situations where I actually said what I believed and didn't over-explain it later. It wasn't about proving anything. It was about showing up the way I wanted to, knowing that it is enough. I don't over-explain myself anymore, especially to people who don't really matter. I don't shrink myself to be more likable. And when I have something to say, I say it. I still have doubts, but now I don't let them decide who I am. I see them for what they are, just thoughts, not facts. At some point I realized the version of me I was waiting to become. I had already started becoming him. Not because I woke up one day full of confidence, but because I kept showing up in training, in work, in life. You know, I used to think that confidence is something you either had or didn't. That it came from your personal achievements, or it is something that people are born with. But now, I think it's something else. To me, confidence is not about being loud or fearless. It's about showing up, even when that voice in your head is saying you're not enough, and doing it anyway. Confidence isn't obvious personal trait visible from the first moment. Sometimes it is present inside you, helping you to take the action and keep moving forward. I'm not always confident, but now, when self-doubt shows up, I don't let it take over. I've trained for that, rep by rep, set by set, in the gym and in my life. What I'm trying to say here is that you don't need to be perfect to feel proud, and you don't need to be furious to start. Even when it is hard, even if it is quiet, that's how I started to trust myself again. That's how I began to become someone I actually believe in. If any part of that story felt familiar, you're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, you're closer to that version than you think. If you're on your own journey in training, in work, in life, I hope this made you feel a little less alone. What about your journey? Are you working on any particular goal right now? Drop a comment below and share your story. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you in the next one.